It's an honor to have the opportunity to speak with you tonight. If it wasn't obvious from Dr. Prober's introduction, I'm in grade 23. In fact, the last time I was not enrolled in school, Gorbachev was the president of the USSR, the top sitcom was Roseanne, and gases around a buck a gallon. I'm overeducated, underemployed, and highly indebted. And so I feel uniquely qualified to talk to you about a student's journey. Before I do, I'm going to thank Dr. Ted Lane and the rest of the Stanford Medicine Alumni Association for making tonight possible. It's comforting to have a gourmet meal just before we start making loan payments, and we find ourselves eating Jell-O and crackers stolen from patient rooms. I also want to thank Dean Miner for taking a break from leading the biomedical revolution we've all heard so much about, checking inboxes this afternoon, and joining us tonight. Thank you to Dr. Prober, our resident Canadian, for emceeing yet another Stanford event. Just so that everyone knows, in case Donald Trump does win in November, I've already planned to see Ms. Carr for the ride to Canada. Seriously. Finally, and most importantly, I want to thank the families and loved ones for making the trip to Palo Alto to join us for match day. I fell in love with Stanford the day I interviewed. Unlike most of you, I applied before MMI with the multi-mini interview. MMI involves navigating a series of thorny scenarios and complicated questions while on camera. In contrast, my interview took place in the sculpture garden at Cantor on a warm, sunny day. So while you all got asked about managing end-of-life care, I got asked about the weather, literally. Needless to say, the old format played to my strength, and as a result, I'm here with you today. It's hard to express how excited I was to be admitted to Stanford. After all, there are no doctors in my family, and no one had spent time in the famous Silicon Valley. I have to say, though, my grandfather, just like Steve Jobs, only finished high school and worked out of his garage. However, he sold carpet, lived in Indiana, and didn't own a computer. Otherwise, they're pretty much the same person. I may not have grown up around doctors, but I did watch loved ones with addiction, cancer, Alzheimer's, suffer the misfortune of illness and the injustice of unmet healthcare needs. I saw firsthand how the environment creates poor health. These are the experiences that convinced me to apply to medical school. In the role of the doctor, I saw an unparalleled opportunity to both treat patients and tackle social problems. For me, medicine was politics. What I didn't realize was that this journey would begin with DNA replication, cytogenetics, and the Krebs cycle. We all spent countless hours poring over textbooks and lectures trying to memorize the very facts that make life possible. I'm not going to lie, it was tedious. But at least Stanford gave us iPads, so Angry Birds were just a click away. Despite my best efforts, I couldn't master all the material. Don't tell Dr. Chu, but I still have no idea what VDJ recombination is. Hanging out with students at the business school in bars for the past year certainly has not helped my memory. At least we didn't spend all of our time in books. In anatomy lab, we had the privilege of learning about the human body from cadavers. We did meticulous dissections to expose structures like the long thoracic nerve and the iliac artery. Our instructors were fabulous, but several were British and corrupted our mind with mispronounced anatomical terms. Believe it or not, I still have not met an American parent who appreciates me referring to their child's umbilicus. And who could forget our first encounter with a standardized patient or actor? At the time, recently married and trying to impress, I watched this video with my wife, Lauren. To my horror, this poor standardized patient, I asked 7 times if she had shortness of breath. 7 times. And I never asked her about smoking. Total fail. This was just the beginning of learning medicine and stumbling badly along the way. In HHD, or Health and Human Disease, we learned the physiology and pathology of each organ system. Everything from high blood pressure to HIV to cirrhosis. Like some of my esteemed classmates, I chose not to attend lectures. And instead, I watched them from the comforts of my apartment in Escondido Village. You think it's expensive to watch QVC and order knife sets and blenders? Try watching med school lectures from home. You won't hear me complain, though. I was pleasantly surprised that I could spend the day not wearing pants and eating ice cream and still make progress on the MD. it was in palm of the practice of medicine that we applied this knowledge to solve clinical cases while also learning the physical exam. As a reminder, lupus or cocci is always the answer. I'm exhausted just remembering how much we had to learn those first 2 years. It wasn't easy. But from day one, it was clear we had entered into a special and supportive community. I am humbled to be surrounded by such a loving, brilliant, and generous group of peers, faculty, and staff. And I'm grateful I get to call you all friends and mentors. To be honest, at times I questioned my decision to attend medical school. I recognized the importance of learning the science, but I felt disconnected from what drew me to medicine, the opportunity to address the root problems of illness, things like poverty. And yet, time after time, I found myself unexpectedly replenished and rejuvenated. I watched friends advocate for the underserved in South Dakota and India. I discovered mentors hard at work on improving healthcare for those in East Palo Alto. And so, despite many ups and downs, I started rotations with real excitement, ready for the next phase of medical school. My first rotation was internal medicine. I remember that first morning and sliding on my freshly washed white coat. I squeezed everything I absolutely needed into those large pockets. Stethoscope, Cliff Bars, pocket medicine, reflex hammer mints, clipboard, chapstick, note cards, ophthalmoscope, black pen, red pen, blue pen, and more Cliff Bars. To boost my confidence, I pulled up my Step 1 score to remind myself I was proficient in pharmacology, the gastrointestinal system, in the hematopoietic and lymphoreticular systems, whatever those are. For inspiration, I thought back to Dr. Verghese and his admiration of Dr. Osler, the founding father of modern medicine. In short, I was ready for the glory of the wards. I was ready to check for heart failure, to diagnose strokes, and to treat pneumonia. What I wasn't ready for was Mr. S., one of my first patients. After all, to go home, he didn't need any of these things. He just needed to have a bowel movement. And so began my real education in the hospital, where discharge is king, and you may spend more time on a bowel regimen than speaking with the patient, and where how fast you type can make all the difference. These are the seedy realities of medicine I didn't recognize before starting rotations. But these discoveries also came with the opportunity to spend more time with patients and families. I counseled a young woman, homeless and addicted to meth, about her AIDS diagnosis. I helped a young child who needed a liver transplant and who sat alone because his parents, migrant farmers, couldn't leave work. I listened to a middle-aged man with diabetes explain he couldn't afford to buy fruits and vegetables. My experiences are not unique. We all have similar stories. In medicine, we see humanity in all its beauty, but we also bear witness to human suffering. We all came to Stanford to get the education and training to alleviate the suffering and improve the world around us. David Foster Wallace, my favorite author, don't tell Dr. Verghese, said, "Education isn't about the capacity to think, but rather about the choice of what to think about." After completing rotations in pediatrics, surgery, and neurology, just to name a few, we are all capable of thinking about physiology and pathology. The choice in front of us is to extend our thinking beyond biology and to focus on the social problems that cause illness. No medication or surgery will solve poverty, racism, or inequality. Today is a day of celebration. Matching is a big freaking deal. We've all worked so hard to get here. But today is also a day of reflection, a time to re-examine our privilege and our relationships with our patients. We're a diverse group headed into a range of specialties and careers, but what binds us together is our profession and the opportunity to be civic leaders. To be a civic leader requires more than recognizing feeling the burn doesn't just refer to acid reflux. It requires investing in our communities and seeing the connection between environment and health, and using medicine as a platform for social change. Congratulations to everyone on matching. Let's definitely keep the party going even after this event. But remember, the choice to heal patients and our communities is yours. Thank you.